Right. Yeah, that is what I've noticed, Tom. I'm sure you've noticed it as well. As we do have commercials, but sometimes we just decide not to use them.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes we use them, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just talk for an hour, an hour and 50 minutes, whatever, and don't even break.
That's the beauty of internet radio. And really,
it's unique. It's unique to BBS.
Here's an app. Imagine being able to create an app that can go into an archive setting, slap on a 2-minute advertisement, an audio advertisement, right on the end of every archive file that's already in existence, and you can change that at will.
Yeah, we don't need to put ads in your audio files in order to market them, which is a nice way. We don't have to upset the host or upset their marketing material. We can actually be quite creative and not have to adulterate your programs, right? Or molest your programs. Excuse me.
It's unique to BBS Radio, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some other private people that have their own studios that are doing their own radio shows, but that's one guy, one show, one station.
Right.
You guys have 50 guests, 50 hosts, hundreds of guests, thousands of guests, 10,000 hours and more. Topping up every week. I don't know what you guys do a week, but it must be huge.
It is. We actually believe that we originate and engineer, literally, more live talk internet,
100 live
internet talk radio than most. Now, I don't know. There's a lot of automated portals, but I'm talking live, interactive, live on internet talk radio, and that. We again has pretty broad definition, doesn't it? Because internet's morphing, and the definition of it morphs. Internet talk radio and what radio really is anymore, talk radio.
Right.
But
we're live.
We're in our own category in most respects. And again, we originate most of the programming, everything except for maybe one show or two shows. So the content's always going to be fresh. People go to our network, they're not going to hear the same tired old thing or repeats or rebroadcasts or somehow, that network just has to run programming, so it's going to grab programming from everybody else and rerun its own programming. And to me, it does. That's not radio. Does radio do that? See, again, it's there's traditional aspects to it that we wanted to incorporate. The only thing we didn't want to incorporate is their timing, and the timing was critical.
To get shows on AM or FM,
you had to move up. You had to pay your. It's not expensive. It's $6,000 a stream for a year, or $12,000 now, and you go up. But then no one's listening, and if they are, they're very religious. Religious programming, a little bit's on there. If you're up on a satellite, it's meaningless. Doesn't mean you have one more listener than we have, or one less. It's meaningless because you still got to really step out and promote your program from that point. But at least at that point, other people will have access to it, AM, FM stations that want you on a certain timing.
AM, FM, and Internet as a group. I've been listening to radio for a long time. I've been a big radio lover, even back when Bill Jenkins was doing it, when Art Bell started out. When Art Bell started out doing his stuff, it was a single band and a single show on the internet, nothing like what you guys are doing. But when he did start out, it was all free. It was just out there, right?
Right.
So when over time it sort of devolved, the whole industry sort of devolved, and the thing that used to make me want to bash my face into a wall was I'm just getting into what the guy's saying, and only 10 minutes have gone by. And a commercial copy.
Oh, it's so
and
ridiculous.
The commercial is longer.
No doubt.
The commercial is longer than what the guest had to say.
Yeah.
And then, the guest comes back. They have to welcome them back. They have to do another intro because of the people that are just joining. We're talking to Doug and Don Newsom on BBS Radio, and then you get the guy talking again, and 8 minutes goes by, and another
You can't get into the flow.
Commercial.
You can't even get into the
flow. Same with TV. By the way, this is the killer. We don't advertise. This is one. Everybody makes money on the internet. They rate you. If you want to know how much your website is worth, it's based on how much advertising revenue you bring in. I kid you not. That's how they base it. So, for us, we don't really have any advertising revenue. If you want to advertise with us, we say sponsor a show. Go to the show. They'll take care of it.
Exactly. Unless you're a show host, and anybody who's a show host or knows a show host, and they've got advertising with us. Otherwise,
so you don't come to our website and get
we're not going to
pop-ups.
Put you on and go nuts. I mean, you got to be sponsoring a show, and almost every one of them have, unless they either pulled a favor or knew somebody.
Yeah.
Otherwise, forget it. We don't. It's just too little money and too much weight.
Too much weight in front of the visitor.
We got to give you stats and all the other stuff you want. Forget it.
Yeah,
we don't need it.
We don't want to provide it because it doesn't make any good for the user's experience.
But what we did provide. Now, let me break in there, Doug. Good point. Because as hosts, they can't use that traditional method of sponsors and advertising. It's not going to work for most programming. Just isn't.
They need the money, too.
They need the money.
Show, right?
They got to pay their fees. Internet radio is requiring them to pay money. They got to figure out how to make it, and yet here they are. They can't get sponsors and advertisers. What a dilemma. So we then offered, not only do we start charging for our archives early on, but we figured since we actually broke the mold and went nuts here, we could use that to our advantage and have an affiliate program. And that way the host can offer them everything themselves and make money and pay their, pay for radio, pay for streaming, earn money, buy that gold bar that, or whatever it is that they're wanting to purchase. So in that respect,
food for their children. Yeah.
Exactly. We wanted to give hosts an alternative way to make money that wasn't the traditional method of advertisers and sponsors. And the only way that we know that there's an asset that can be traded would be their audio file.
However, they are allowed to put as many promos and advertisements and commercials and breaks and intros and exits as they want.
They can do whatever they want.
We, even before their hour, after their hour, we aren't taking up that time slot.
We're not running commercials, specific
when
commercials.
When they go to your download files and try to download and want to listen to it, we're not playing a BBS promo before they get a chance to even listen to your archive. We've really been
truly unique. Truly
you don't
unique.
hear BBS radio at the very end of your audio files, so that everybody
has to
download it, has to edit them or manipulate them or take them to their own website or change things. That's ridiculous.
You don't even have a bad experience on the website. There's no negative points because we have open browsers when they're not supposed to be. There are advertisements that are nuisances. We have none of those. So our website, trust factor, according to some of these websites, is very, very, very high.
They can reach us, contact us. We're not invisible. They'll see us on many pages.
That's why our statistics are so high. I think we have more page views than any search engine per our website. And we're not even a content-rich website. And people spend more page views on us than they do in all the search engines. And they stay on our website over 30 minutes. Now, this is hard to believe. Because you go check out Voice America or WS or LA Talk Radio, even Oprah. Go to Oprah. They'll stay for 1 to 3 minutes, and they'll visit 1 to 3 pages. And 50% of the time when a user goes there, they're actually jumping to some other website. In our case, 20%, 25% will jump somewhere else. Nobody's finding us in the search engines, 1 to 3% of our traffic, which is so low I can't even tell you. Yet everybody stays forever. Everybody reads all the pages, and everybody's loyal. Now,
and we grow.
And we have a huge audience. So our audience is, to me, more valuable because there's so much loyalty there. I don't even know what sort of a price tag you could put on that, but it's
very
a great
loyal audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys have been around for a while, so.
It's been slow and steady. Again, we wanted to be really innovative and honest in our approach and give the people what they wanted and try to make it so the host could be,
to be a radio host.
They could be John Wayne if they wanted to be.
Right.
Instead of being a stand-in for an advertisement.
Instead of calling up some automated portal and then kind of sitting there talking to this machine and maybe smiling. I don't know what they do when they talk to those machines. We don't have those kind of things. But I mean real radio. Real radio. And so we wanted to offer that in a real way. And it's going to evolve even more. This is going to be a great year. I think this would be a great year for talk radio as a whole.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I mean,
now, did you guys expect when you started to where it has gone to?
We Donald and I used to only think that at the very end of the day we were going to be trillionaires. That never sooner or later that vision passes you by. Between now and then, we never think beyond really a week or a month, because our objectives are so timely. They always used to be. So much in a rush, there was so much weight, and there was so much to do. You knew the bigger picture, but you didn't visualize it. I guess that's one of the things of getting busy. You don't slow really down enough, and the world takes you away. You don't take it away into your own vision. So now that I'm a little older and I like to relax a little bit more, I do slow down enough to see things into the future. But in the case of BBS Radio, for some darn reason, all I know is it's going to be bigger and more beautiful. But now I kind of leave it up to the sun, the moon, and the stars more than I do my own brilliant mind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well said. It seems to want to do its thing. For some reason, honestly, it actually seems to want to touch the right people, grow in a very interesting way, strong way, and have a powerful foundation in all respects. And really, it's because it's been born out of casualness, maybe love, passion initially, but now it's Doug and I have it's changed so much now that we've entered into the last couple of years that it's now more of an entertainment media enterprise based on love, excitement, fun, possibility, and change.
Right. Which was your original intent.
Exactly.
You went into this with a lot of emotion, wanting to change. I mean, let's be honest. You wanted to crush the
traditional media.
We wanted
to see it fail. We wanted to see it die. We wanted AM, FM to die. We wanted print media to die. And TV, well, that was going to always morph into the Internet. But the rest, we wanted just to pass away into obscurity.
Yeah. It's time to go. They're serving no more purpose. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that are sort of tuning into that they
abuse their purpose and abuse the people in there. You
I would include TV there because there's a lot of people canceling their cable. I did mine, 15 years ago. Yeah. I canceled my cable.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. I think it was 14, 15 around there. But I canceled my cable, and I've never looked back.
We have more entertaining people on the Internet and more intelligent videos on the Internet in every category that you desire to find any information on. It's so open and so wonderful. I hope that never changes. It's almost like telling a person, okay, well, here's the abacus of the day, but here's the computer. In our way, communication now, seeing that computer versus, an abacus is there's two different worlds, and I see that in traditional media as well. It's just outdated. And it's going to have to catch up, and it probably will, with rules and regulations and government puppets in play. But it's going to take some time. Right now, we're in the Wild West, and
West.
And believe me, I mean, people think, oh no, liberties aren't going to, the internet's always going to remain free. No, we're in the Wild West right now, and I want the Wild West.
Lawlessness.
I love this. But I know that it's going to change, and that kind of saddens me,
Well, I mean, up here, recently they were trying to put more controls by. Actually, this happened about a month ago. They had tried to get the large companies like Bell and Rogers, in this case, to put a limit on how much uploading
bandwidth cap.
Sure.
They were bandwidth capping out,
and there was a huge backlash from.
They tell you it's going to happen. Deny it for 5 years and then slap it in your face.
Yeah, but over 500,000. They got over 500,000 signatures, and the government backed up. Free or fast
for now.
For now.
But now, yeah.
For now, and then they're hitting you on three other ends, and they keep chipping away until sooner or later it morphs into something that only the largest capital can benefit from. to a greater level.
Well, that's
not
just,
to say we don't, but it seems like the idea of
running roughshod over the people is all it is.
Yeah,
they always done
criminal.
But look, in this global world, as we have consolidation, as we grow together, we have more consolidation of ideas. We have to learn to work together. We're going to see this kind of a global thing. Now, when we see this in companies, oh my gosh, today there's only 5 companies that own the industry. Yeah, well, today you have companies that can short 10 times the silver market industry, and nobody says boo. I mean, 10 times the world's silver supply, and nobody goes boo. You want to go boo? How about a bank that can literally loan out $100 for your dollar? Well, let me give you an example of what that means. Well, if you're a country and you're 15 trillion, does that mean a bank could loan out 100 times that in scope? Yes. It means even a small bank can be more powerful than the United States of America. Yeah, even a small bank. So on that sort of a size and scope, when you look at things, you realize that consolidation's going to continue. And it's going to continue until
somebody has it all. Somebody with the most toys wins. Yeah. That's what I think. I think it's been leading up to that. It's either that or we're going to have a 12-member panel and they're going to be benevolent and they're going to be held to a stricter form of the law than even the peasants.
Maybe.
It's going to go. It will go either way. I don't see it. I see the focus coming to a pinpoint at some time.
3 corporations will rule the world.
Yeah, I mean, in my view, the big scope of my view is humans are destined for space. End of story. Humans will go to space, but I don't know if they're grown up yet.
I like that idea.
Because I think that they're...
I'll suffice being a pet in an ET's home.
Yeah. I don't know. The human spirit always has trouble with that. But... I mean, we're slowly being, trained and called and have been for thousands of years. But I think that spirit, the human spirit, and maybe it isn't just a human spirit. Maybe it's a universal spirit. The universal spirit has to explore, has to go out from itself. Mm-hmm. And once we do agree with the fact that we are a planetary civilization, that we do... we are equal as humans, then maybe we'll be grown up enough to go out and play with the rest of the adults in the universe.
Maybe we got to even consider the idea of being not more equal or less equal than any living being, regardless of whether it's human or not.
Or not living.
Right. Maybe there's some energy to anything that we consider inanimate that we don't really rightly understand.
So you don't believe we're heading to the end of the world? Nobody?
I think, if you want my personal opinion, I think the year 2012 will basically be the year between 2011 and 2013.
Yeah. That's exactly what I think.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be just about like that. No, I really do. Yeah.
Now, could things happen? Yes, of course things happen. We are living on a ball that is flying through space at 18,000 miles per second, spinning around a sun that's also moving in a galaxy that's moving in a universe. So can things happen? Yeah, some stuff can happen. The sun's doing some weird things. There's some strange things happening with the sun. But these are cycles. These are cycles that happen. We have mini ice ages and major ice ages. We're living on a ball that has effects.
But isn't Jesus Christ supposed to come into town soon?
Uh-huh.
How about that event? Do we see the new Christ rising?
I think he should be here by now, shouldn't he?
Shouldn't he? There's so many events that everybody's catalyzing everybody's attention towards, and nothing seems to ever occur. This is going to be the same sort of thing.
What's going to happen when we reach like you said, the day after, and all the people that have been really building up a thrill for it just kind of, what are they going to think?
Well, then they're going to find the next thing. The next time,
are aliens going to come after 2012? Are they planning to come down and make their? Is that the next big thing? Are we all going to be visited?
I'm sure the storytellers will come up with something.
They will. Hey, and they'll be on this network.
Yes,
to tell their story
on this network. Yeah,
and more. And
you know what? And more.
In fact, that'll be a most likely.
And more power to them, because you know what? I love a good story.
Well, First Contact will be right here in this studio. We'll be speaking to them. You know, the blue-eyed ones and the white-skinned ones. They'll all be here. First Contact right here.
Right here at BBS Radio.
Mm-hmm. So you tell your friends, First Contact's at BBS Radio. Let's get the word out.
You know, that the sun might do something, but who knows?
BBS Radio has all the big boys here, you know, and if anybody's coming, there's a coming here.
Hey, you know, we really are proud of that saying. If it ain't mainstream, it's on BBS Radio, and we've found that seems to be quite true, even for the reasonable person.
Yep. You know what? I look at it this way. If something happens in 2012, I'm going to be part of it.
Yeah.
So I'll exist within it. I know the stories, so I'll be able to identify what that it is. Mm-hmm. If nothing happens, I'm still going to be part of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be a little more upset because I actually, not that I'm, a great believer in wanting to bring about chaos, but again, I like the roller coaster. Give me a market that's moving up or down, but don't stagnate my life. Please.
George Carlin, when he was on Art Bell show, Art Bell asked him about earthquakes, and George Carlin said, I want to. He was talking about the Richter scale, and Carlin said, I want to see a 20.
Yeah, right.
Give me a 20 on the Richter scale. Let's ride that baby.
That's the art of true living, is to be able to get excited about change.
Yeah. I mean, if it's going to get you, it's going to get you.
We're all going to experience change. I kind of believe in the idea that if we can be excited about change, no matter at what level, kind of look at things that way, every day can be fairly exciting.
Yeah.
Every day is exciting.
There's no doubt that things are changing a little bit out there. The mentality is opening up. From that stagnation that we had and for decades right now, how religion and politics. I think some things are starting to jiggle out there, and maybe within the next year and a half,
religion won't be the focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it'll be
or political intrigue.
Right. All those will be passé discussions, kind of like talking about the weather.
I think if humans exist for another couple 100 years, that they'll look back on this time and think, oh, what savages.
Yeah.
But then again, I still like the Kirk movies where he gets the sexy woman.
And she's part savage.
And she's part savage. So.
And green.
Yeah.
Kirk making out with a green woman. You have no idea how envious I was.
I mean, I don't want to be an alien for nothing.
I'm looking at my wife while saying that and getting the eyes. I was young, love. It's a green woman on TV, and Kirk was making out with her, so I had. But I think that Star Trek reality, if we don't, barring some global event, because global events are in the geological record. Mm-hmm. They happened, they exist, therefore they can happen again. So barring something like that, barring humans taking it to the level where they wipe each other out completely, and they never will completely wipe each other out,
No, we're like cockroaches. One or two will survive.
Yeah. Barring something like that, if we can move into, and I'll throw a story out there, just for the hell of it, if the boys in the underground bases that supposedly exist all over the world, sure, why not?
Sure. And tunnel me to Africa, please.
And they have the toys, the boys with the toys in the underground bunkers. Eventually, the boys are going to have to come up out of their holes and share that technology with the rest of humanity. And a little bit of growing up has to be done for that to take place. You know, they're just taking their ball and leaving the park and, you know, in a big hop. This is my ball. Once that happens and the human race starts to think of itself as a global collection of individuals, biological units that are inhabited by spiritual beings, then I think that we can move out in space. And until then, you're just going to see the same play out in space that you see.
The same moon shots. The same moon landing shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem
isn't that getting disgusting after like 50, 60 years?
The problem that they might run into is that if humans go out into space, they might be the minority. They might be the Indians. They might be the Mayans.
I love that idea because when I sit down at a chess table, I want somebody that's across from me that can actually beat me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even want to cheat because I actually want somebody who can beat me sitting across from me. Now, if we have something in the future that we have to come up against that is more than our equal, maybe that enables us to grow. So for me, that's even exciting.
That's exciting to me, too. Absolutely. I mean, I think that will and has to eventually happen.
I want magic. See, my big thing is if I could have it all and my cake, eat it too, I would really want magic to return.
Yeah.
You want to be able to fly, don't you?
I want to be able to fly around and
have a wood nymph.
Have a wood nymph fly next to me. Sure. Of course, I want to explore those kind of possibilities. I think magic would be great. I'd love to see it come back. And you know, some people say that's the era of we're in the era of the new.
New alchemy.
Well, new alchemy, right. The new, what are they called? The four elements, the new element, ether. And ether that interweaves is really going to take a very large, dominant part in our lives, which is going to tie everything in together, and ESP and then whatever. And then being able to see between the lives, the veil between lives.
Right.
Well, religion has to disappear before we can wake up and be able to accept a lot of those
I agree. Maybe we ought to just get rid of history too.
Yep. There you go.
Really, come on, let's start fresh. We don't need any of that garbage. I mean, as soon as you wake up and you're a baby and you're growing up, you see movies about war. Oh, people all in the community kill each other for gain. You're a baby. You're watching these wars on TV. Every time you shut on the TV, I mean, there's something history about war and a knife fight. And you're going, oh, adults really do this? They can kill each other for a gain? Now imagine, that's one of the first things you know coming up. Your morals are already screwed up.
Oh, yeah.
They show you on TV that the average person introduces himself to another and he lies a half a dozen times before he even ends the first conversation. And that's supposedly 70% of the population? Come on, is that what they're teaching you in school? No way, yes. All your politicians lie. Everybody's out there. In fact, in Canada, there's a law that says politicians have the right to lie. Yes,
exactly.
Canada and the Sun paper put that out. So what does that tell me? That tells me that when the way we're teaching our young is so screwed up on a fundamental moral levels, just very simple but fundamental moral levels that go beyond religion. Religion doesn't have any fundamental moral levels that if we don't kill and a few other things that would change our youth. It would change the way we come up. We wouldn't see the angers and the fighting and the mood swings. But we do because people can't understand what they're being taught at such a young age, and later on they really have no true foundation to stand on.
There's no doubt to that whatsoever. It's terrible. It's a terrible system.
You wind him up, and there he goes.
I do.
Well, you definitely feel strongly about what you're saying, and I see that as a scenario of if you can take 100 male babies and 100 female babies and take them to another planet and set them down and give them enough to sustain themselves and with no outside influence, a little bit because you got to rear them. But I wonder how that civilization would, they wouldn't have any front loading. The front loading that comes from TV and your parents and your culture and politics and religion and all of these front-loaded things that people think that they have free will, that they can think what they want to think. Who are you kidding? You're front-loaded for life.
The only sad thing is it's not sad, it might be very good. The only thing I can think of is if there is a purpose for everything, a perfect purpose. Try to say that 10 times real fast. Perfect purpose. Then maybe ultimately even the idea that one would have to learn the understanding of war and get a depth for it so it could be valuable at other stages in your development makes sense, but not any that I would want to explore right now in my mind mentally. But on some level, maybe even these harsh realities that we face are indeed preparing us to become more the spiritual beings we will be into the future.
Yeah. And, that brings in time into the whole thing and duration. But, yeah, I see what you're saying. And definitely that's the case. And that's the case with BBS Radio, and that's what you guys are doing. You started out with a passion. You started out basically saying, what can we do about the media industry? My God, something needs to be done. And then ran with it from there.
Yeah.
And that's how BBS Radio was created. And you guys have followed that philosophy, if we can call it that. The philosophy of BBS Radio, that's been the backbone. Not, let's get in business and make a whole bunch of money.
That was the understanding until I had my Kundalini. And Donald, he wanted to escape that area because we did so much for so many and got so hurt so many times. I mean, the last deal, I don't want to go into too much details, but just that last deal cost my brother and I $33 million. That's a big number to say on air. Now now imagine scenarios that
you know what? It's such a big number. I want you to say it again.
Yeah, imagine a number of scenarios that took you for rides. In many cases, all of them. You get to a point where you just want to say, okay, no more. I'm now going to put in my efforts and see what comes of it. And he got to that stage because he'd worked on too many ideas that didn't go anywhere because nobody could keep up with him. And the energy levels were really doing something correct and right on it with his own love. And he really struck out on his own prior to me. I was going through this weird, funky thing. It just seemed to all happen at once,
So you were still dealing with having the Kundalini experience while your brother while Don was setting all the BBS Radio up. You were still in the midst of the Kundalini experience.
Correct. The feeling is unbelievable for the first, experience when you're going through it, and the days to follow, like within 2 weeks. I mean, I couldn't explain it all, but
didn't it last for like a whole year?
It lasted about 6 months. Your feelings don't really start to go away. Your energy levels don't really start to drop for a long time. But they do eventually fade, just like a memory can fade. Just if time just takes it away from you,
Right. So you were living in that existence for 6 months.
Yeah. The things I've learned stay with me. But the feelings and, the room, it's like picturing yourself when you're 5 years old. How do you feel when you were there? Well, those memories, they fade, and so you can't identify with them, but you can still identify with the information that you got because it's impacting every day. It doesn't stop impacting me. I think totally different now.
You think it rewired you?
Oh, absolutely. It did things. I think it probably changed me on the cellular level.
Yeah. It's interesting because that reminds me a little bit of near-death experience. People have and this has been reported. I did studies in near-death experience back. I had a research partner named Jacob, and what we used to do is we would send out to magazines, New Age magazines, and we would ask for people's NDE experiences. Well, what was supposed to be just a 3-month investigation turned out to be a 2-year. We were getting letters back from people all over the world and basically typing out or writing out their NDE experiences. And what was standing out was how the people changed. Now, the people around them had lived with this person for many, many years, and they had an understanding of who that person was. But when they come back from their near-death experience, one of the things that was reported the most was that they didn't really know that person anymore. That a wife or a spouse or a relative or a daughter or a son that said, after my dad had his near-death experience, I didn't really recognize him anymore. I didn't understand who he was. He had changed so dramatically in such a short amount of time that I have to now get used to this new person that's in my life.
Yeah.
And that is sort of the type of thing that happens with Kundalini. It reminds me of that.
Yes. Yes, it's life-changing. You have to your interactions with people, your thought systems, everything changes. And some people
your
can't.
Wife and your children, and your mother, your father, your family.
Some people can't take the information. When you're hit with something that is totally contrary to a belief system that may have been ingrained within you for a long time, and if something disrupts that understanding so totally, it might impact you on so many levels that you can't feel the impact right away because it hasn't worked its way to all the exercises and events and thoughts that run through your normal day. So you might do something new a year later, but your understanding now unfolds at that point a year later, this new understanding, and it changes you in every minute. You never can go back from something like this. It could even drive you a little bit batty. You might become very, very depressed. I could imagine hitting dark nights of the soul as a result because you're shown such an opposite point of view. You sometimes have a hard time in the experience. Things aren't the same any longer. You don't think the same way. You don't have the same value system, and it can be very traumatic for a lot of people.
And did the people around you pick up on the fact that you changed?
Yes, but I became a hermit.
I call it a Kundalini.
Yeah, Kundalini. I actually hermitized myself. I stopped going out and really just started focusing on work. And my parents both were deathly ill at the time, and I went to take care of them. And so a lot of things occurred around the same time, and I had a lot of opportunity to be with myself and the people I loved with during that time, and not really have to interact with a lot of the world. That's why you didn't hear me here. I didn't really. People didn't hear me as a part of this organization because my voice wasn't heard.
Right. But your brother was your brother was definitely there with you.
Oh, he's a vocal tiger.
Yeah, and he went through the experience with you because when you have someone that's close to you, you're living the experience as they're living it. They may not fully understand it.
My brother actually got a physical. There was a spirit being off to my right. By the way, they look kind of like gasoline vapor, but made up of atomic embers, trillions of colors, like like a rainbow, but more energy being with very light, faint lights. And this is what the energy looks like. And one used to come to me right after my Kundalini, and it would sit beside me. It looked kind of like Alice in Brady Bunch. She never said a word, and I can remember a sound being made, and in my head wondering, wouldn't this be interesting if my brother could actually understand what I was going from? These energy beings that were relating with me would relate with my brother. So I picked up the phone, and I can remember taking my receiver and putting it down and a few feet away, or maybe 2 feet away from me, and I can remember the energy being disappearing. And then I heard this noise. And my brother, I said, "You hear that?" He goes, "Yeah, it sounds like this." Now, I wasn't doing it over the phone. Then it made the sound of a mosquito. And my brother said, "Oh, it sounds like a mosquito." And then I asked the energy being to move up my arm, touch me. My energy would raise, and I could feel pressure on my wrist all the way up to my arm. And my brother was saying, "These things are occurring to me right now." Now, my brother's not the sort of person who likes to, he'd never brag about something like that. He'd never tell anybody really something like that.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. And my brother and I connected on that level with energy. Now, how do you say that didn't occur? That would be like me saying, "Okay, Did you just feel that over the head? I just hit you with a baseball bat. And you actually feel it. You know,
Right.
or somebody making a noise in your ear, but the noise isn't coming from anywhere around you. So that was the only experience they allowed me to share with my brother.
But it was enough to say, look, this is really happening to you, brother, just so you know.
Ask my brother. He and I have never spoken of it since. You would be the first to ask him the question.
Huh.
We just didn't need to go there. And
Right.
yeah.
I'll ask him. Do you remember that event clearly, Don?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, there's there's a lot of strange things that happen as you go on a spiritual walk. He and I have had them together, and a few of them, you know, I've been I had a little different walk. It was a little slower, I guess.
Okay.
A little longer.
He's
And
talking about experiences
a lot of
that
different
started to occur to him
experiences.
after I had an
Yes.
experience. He had very unique things
Very
occur to him.
strange things.
But Don, did you feel that energy?
Yeah, when we'd done that, I was over the phone, and sure, I was telling you what was going on, and you seemed to agree that that's what was going on. So it was, yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Kundalini experience.
Kundalini.
So when the
I'm
being
Kundalini,
was,
man.
would the beings communicate with you, or did it just they were there?
They would never say any words to me. I never heard them. That was
Okay.
the only two sounds I ever heard were the sounds I made in my brother's ear, and it was interesting. This energy disappeared. I held the phone down. I couldn't see the energy near the phone, and then I'd pull it back to my ear, and Don would tell me something that he heard.
Well, we've seen
and it was
energy put together moving around the bedroom when we,
Yeah, well,
when we
the
were going to
energy-
move here. We
Right.
got a hotel, and we were going to leave the next morning because nothing was available.
But they don't talk to me.
And then
I just don't know why. They've never made.
Yeah.
Those are the only two noises I ever heard.
Well, it's okay. I mean, you might. I've heard of that as well. I mean, people have different sort of.
energy beings, I guess I'd call them fuzzies, or, you know.
Yeah. And they were just there to help you through the experience. You don't know why they were there. I mean, they didn't tell you. That's one of the things what I've found with psychic phenomena. Sometimes whatever's happening should come with a ticker tape. It should come with an explanation. There should be a little ticker tape machine that appears in front of you, and this thing comes out, and you look at it, and you go, okay, what you've just experienced at this moment was a being from Alpha Centauri just wanted to pop by and say hi. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. That's all I
that
wanted
would
to
be
know. I
great.
just want to know what the fuck that was.
I had a little energy being that
Yeah,
looked
that'd
like
be
a
great.
squid. It almost looked blackish, brown, purplish.
He
coming
still
at-
does, by the way.
You know, and you can imagine most of them looked like human beings in spirit form, but I had actually a creature, one come out of the wall, looked like a squid, and it ran around playing games with my dog. It would grab its ear, it would grab its tail, it would tell my dog had. I
I'm
had
still
a blast
trying to
with
get
my
that.
dog
I'm
for
still
hours.
trying to get whatever cocktail he had brewing
Yeah.
there, because
It was an interesting.
But
sight
was your
to be able-
dog reacting?
But see, I learned many different things. Every day was a new event. When you have a Kundalini, one day I learned a remote view. I could tell you what it's like. I could tell you almost everything once. I had numerous experiences occur to me once, and they were never duplicated for me. I don't know why. I wish they were. I've tried to duplicate them in my normal life. It's impossible. Maybe it's possible that just for some reason it wouldn't occur for me twice. It's like they showed me a number of different things, a couple dozen, and that was it.
And that was it. And you got the show, and you got the information. It was just so you know that this exists.
Right.
Just so you know that this is real.
Right.
Here you go.
Right. It's like, how can you, say you imagine looking at one picture and now try to look at two pictures with the same intensity the first. Well, you can't comprehend that. But by the way, it's possible. I could literally take all the pictures 360 degrees, put them in front of you, and every speck of that picture you would be able to see with the intensity of the whole thing at once or each individually all at the same time. No time space. Your mind has that capability to do that. But unless somebody actually showed you in your own mind, you'd go, no way. And it's like the Rain Man. You watch the movie Rain Man and goes, how does he do that? You just saw those toothpicks. You count them all at once. Yeah, your brain can do that. And if it's shown to you just once, you'll go, oh, yeah, it happened. But could you duplicate it? No, because it's like, I can't explain it. It's like.
Did you ever see any future events or sort of like a time-space window?
No.
No?
No, I only saw 3 objects in a remote viewing experience that were the next day useless objects that accompanied somebody else that I knew. And and then after that, I thought, oh, geez, what good's remote viewing?
Yeah.
Right? And as for the future, I couldn't see, I never got any glimpse of that, no.
Do you ever hear anybody else's thoughts?
No, never heard anybody else's thoughts.
Okay.
No, there was never another voice in my head but my own, except during the sounds, like the sounds I was telling you about.
Right. Other than that, you did not become a famous channeler.
Correct. Nobody was speaking through me or taking me over. I could feel my awareness on many levels in many places, and I could see the energy around me and observe it, but I could not seem to talk to it or vocalize with it. I pray to, believe me, when you go through something like this, you feel so blessed and you're so excited and you're so happy you even get what you get. But, of course, there's part of you saying, please, talk to me.
Give me more.
Right. Yeah. But that didn't occur for me.
That's okay. Well, I think we're running almost right up to the next hour, and I know we have another. Yeah. You have a Don
Nicolov.
It was a pleasure, Tom, Scott. Thank you both very much for interviewing us.
Well, I very much wanted to talk to you guys because I did know that you had a special motivation and a special reason for BBS Radio, that there was a philosophy behind it, and there is a growth factor to it.
Pure
and
passion.
It's a heart, and it's a heart, and it's a soul thing that you guys are doing, and it's me and Tom can identify with that sort of thing.
We love your show, and you guys have shown us that you're not only remarkable individuals, but you think with generosity. And most people don't do that, and you do that. My brother does that, so thank you both. That really is a wonderful thing, thinking with generosity, because you give over to other people, and that's really being an allowing person. And I've enjoyed that on all your programs, so my hats are off to you. You two did it again. I really felt great with this. I do not do interviews much, neither does my brother. We're too busy, and tooting our own horn on the radio is kind of, we're in it. Why do we want to toot our horn? And our horn seems to be tooted every day of our lives, even when we don't do anything, because of the, being in this business. Mm-hmm. And we see other people doing it, and we want to be a part of their moment. So
I'm not here to sell.
I'm
not here to sell BBS Radio. I'm here to talk about your heart, what your heart.
Says, that's what I loved about doing it. Thank you. Yeah. That's what I loved about doing this interview. I knew it was going to be a special one, and you guys made it that way. Thank you.
Well, thanks, guys.
My pleasure.
And we'll talk again.
You got it.
And we'll see everybody next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
AlternativeLifestyleProducts.com